Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're tackling something lots of you ask about getting decent at speaking English in like 30 days.
Yeah, it sounds ambitious, maybe even a bit impossible.
Right. But the idea today is to pull out the really practical stuff, the actionable strategies from, the source material we looked at.
Exactly. To see if we can make that 30-day goal feel achievable for you listening.
We want you to walk away feeling hopefully more confident about actually speaking.
Absolutely. Learning a language can feel overwhelming. So much advice out there.
Totally.
So, yeah, our mission here is to cut through that noise. Focus on what genuinely seems to work for rapid improvement in spoken English based on our sources.
We've dug into resources that are all about practical results, right?
The goal is a clear path for you so you feel more self-assured speaking English, maybe even the next month.
Okay, let's get into it. One thing that came up again and again in the sources, daily practice.
The cornerstone, really.
Yeah, but not like hours and hours of cramming.
No, exactly. It's more about consistency.
Yep.
Even say 15 minutes a day, regular short bursts.
And one specific technique mentioned was self-talk. Just talking to yourself seems a bit strange, maybe.
It might feel strange at first, but the big advantage is it's totally pressure-free.
Oh.
No
Yeah.
one's listening, no fear of judgment, no mistakes to worry about, so you can just experiment.
Experiment how?
Well, you try out new words, new ways of saying things, like you could just describe your morning routine out loud as you do it.
Okay, now I'm making coffee.
Precisely.
Yeah.
First, I wake up, then I brush my teeth. Simple stuff. But doing that, it kind of rehearses the language in your head.
Sort of primes the pump.
Yeah, it primes your brain's language centers, basically. So when you do have a real conversation, it feels a bit more natural. It's like building a mental habit.
Okay, that makes sense. A sort of mental dry run. And building on that, another thing was recording yourself speaking, which sounds potentially horrifying.
It can be a little cringy, yeah, listening back to yourself.
So what's the actual payoff for that awkwardness?
Well, it's about self-awareness, isn't it? When you're speaking normally, you're focused on just getting the message out.
Right, you're not analyzing how you sound.
Exactly. But listening back lets you hear yourself more objectively. You might notice, oh, I always pronounce that sound wrong, or I keep making that same grammar mistake.
I see. So you spot your own patterns.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Even just recording yourself, quickly summarizing, I don't know, a movie you watched or something simple you did that day.
Okay.
Listening back highlights exactly where you need to focus your efforts. It's that awareness that kicks off real improvement.
Got it. So daily practice, self-talk, recording, all building that foundation. Now, vocabulary, big one.
Always.
It's tempting to just, grab a dictionary and start memorizing.
Yeah.
But the sources suggest quality over quantity.
Yes, definitely. The idea is it's much better to really know a smaller number of common words, how to actually use them, than to just vaguely recognize thousands of obscure ones.
Okay, so less is more.
In a way, yeah. The suggestion we saw was aiming for maybe 5 new words a day. Manageable, right?
5 sounds doable.
But, and this is the crucial bit, you have to actively use them.
Not just look them up.
No. You need to make your own sentences with them. Sentences about your life, your interests. That's what makes them stick.
Right, otherwise it's just abstract information.
Exactly. The sources pointed out that mastering, say, the top few hundred most common words gives you a huge chunk of everyday conversation ability. It's strategic.
Yeah, we found a good example, like take words, confident, improve, conversation, daily, mistake.
Yeah.
You could make a sentence like, I want to become confident in English, so I practice daily. I try to improve by having a conversation with friends, and I'm not afraid to make a mistake.
Perfect example.
Yeah.
See how you've woven them into something meaningful.
Yeah, it feels much more useful than just a list.
It is. That's active recall. You're applying it, connecting it to your goals. That strengthens the pathways in your brain for those words, makes them easier to grab when you need them.
So active use is key. Okay. What about immersion? Surrounding yourself with English. That's hard if you don't live in an English-speaking country.
True, full immersion isn't always possible.
Yeah.
But you can create your own mini immersion environment.
How?
Well, one effective way is using English content you actually enjoy. Movies, podcasts, YouTube videos, whatever interests you.
Just listening passively.
Not just passive listening, though that helps too. The sources really stressed active engagement, like repeating dialogues out loud.
Shadowing.
Shadowing, yeah, or just repeating lines after you hear them. It helps you pick up the rhythm, the intonation, and also common chunks of language.
Chunks, like phrases.
Yeah, common combinations native speakers use without thinking, like, you know what I mean, or could you please?
Mm.
Learning those as units speeds things up.
Okay, so you're not just learning words, but whole phrases. Can you give like a really specific example of practicing that?
Sure. Take a simple, useful sentence. Could you please help me? Don't just learn what it means. Practice saying it. Say it politely. Say it maybe a bit more urgently. Say it hesitantly.
Ah, with a different feeling.
Exactly. You practice the pronunciation, the flow, and the emotional nuance. That makes your speaking sound much more natural, much more effective.
That's actually a really cool idea. Builds fluency and expression.
Mm.
Nice. Now, talking about communicating, speaking communities, that came up too.
Yeah, finding people to practice with.
How important is that? Because, putting yourself out there can be scary.
It can be, definitely. But the value is huge, whether it's online groups,
Yep.
Telegram, WhatsApp, Facebook, whatever, or maybe local meetups.
What's the main benefit?
Real-time practice, basically.
Yeah.
In a hopefully supportive space, you get feedback, maybe indirectly, just by seeing if people understand you. You learn from others. And crucially, you build confidence by actually using the language to connect with people.
Right. It makes it real, less theoretical.
Exactly. Yeah. And it builds motivation, too, being part of a community.
And interestingly, it doesn't always have to be with another person, does it? The sources mentioned using AI, like ChatGPT.
Yeah, that's a really interesting, newer angle.
How does that work for practice?
Well, think about it. An AI is infinitely patient. It's available 24/7. And crucially, it's non-judgmental.
Ah, so you don't feel embarrassed making mistakes.
Precisely. You can practice chatting, ask it to correct your grammar, ask for different ways to say things, all without that anxiety you might feel with a person, especially early on.
So it's like a safe space to build initial confidence.
Exactly. It can be a great stepping stone towards talking with real people. Or just good practice anytime.
That's a really practical tool, actually. Okay, so we have these positive strategies. To make sure people are effective, what should they avoid doing in this 30-day push? Any common mistakes?
Oh, definitely. Number one, probably. Don't try to memorize the dictionary.
Yeah, okay.
Trying to learn massive lists of words is just overwhelming and often not very useful. Stick to the high-frequency stuff first.
Quality over quantity again.
Another big one.
Yeah.
Don't be terrified of making mistakes.
Easier said than done sometimes.
I know. But mistakes are absolutely essential. So
Big.
proof you're trying, you're pushing yourself. Every error is a learning chance. Don't let the fear stop you from opening your mouth.
Right. Got to embrace the mistakes.
Totally. And finally, don't give up after like 5 days.
Yeah, perseverance.
Language learning takes time.
No.
You won't be fluent in 30 days, obviously, but you can make significant progress. You need to be consistent and stick with it, even when it feels hard or slow.
Good advice. Avoid overwhelm, embrace mistakes, and keep going.
That's the gist of it.
Okay, so let's quickly recap the main things for you listening if you want to make real progress in 30 days.
Let's do it.
First, daily practice, even just 15 minutes. Consistency.
Yep.
Second, self-talk, chatting to yourself to build comfort. Third, record yourself. Listen back to spot areas you need to work on.
Crucial for awareness.
Fourth, vocabulary. Focus on, say, 5 useful words a day, and crucially, use them in your own sentences.
Active use, yeah.
Fifth, immersion through content you like, movies, podcasts, and actively repeat dialogues.
Get that rhythm and flow.
And sixth, find people to speak with. Online communities, practice partners, or even AI like ChatGPT.
That real communication practice.
So those are the core actions, really.
That's a great summary. And the key thing underlying all of it is just doing it.
Yeah.
Consistently applying these things day by day.
Little and often.
Exactly. Over 30 days, those small efforts really do add up.
Yeah.
You will notice a difference in your speaking and, importantly, in how confident you feel using English.
Absolutely. Building that momentum, that habit, it's definitely possible to see a real shift.
For sure.
So thinking about all these practical steps we've just gone through, here's a final thought for you listening. What specific action, just one thing, will you take today to kickstart your journey towards speaking English more confidently?